Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit record. So whenever you're ready to do that thing, go ahead and go for it.
Hi, I'm Steve Hafner, stevehafner.com, and you are listening to Jeff Smith and the magic of Vroom, Vroom, Veer.
Well done. The magic of Vroom, Vroom, Veer. The magic, the mystery. That is Vroom, Vroom, Veer. Okay, I'm going to hit stop. I'll be right back.
Are you ready to thoughtfully steer away from your revved up, frenzied, and far too often scripted life? Then welcome to Vroom Vroom Veer with Jeff Smith, where he guides you down the road differently traveled by sharing unique experiences with guests who have managed to shift away from a life stuck on cruise control and veered their way into a more authentic and fulfilling one in all sorts of interesting and kind of remarkable ways. Get ready to Vroom Vroom Veer with your differently traveled road chauffeur, Jeff Smith.
Amber James, thank you so much for being on Vroom Vroom Veer and welcome to the show. How's it going?
Oh, it's going good. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Hey, this is a blast so far. I'm enjoying hanging out with you and Penny Lane there on your lap. Penny is like the cutest dog ever.
Oh my gosh. She's about to turn 1 year old and she is an Italian greyhound. So she's not going to be more than, 12 pounds is full grown. And that's all the bigger she's going to get. So
Gotcha.
All she ever wants to do is just sit on my lap and be with me. So she's my little personal assistant who might be chiming in from time to time during the podcast.
I love it. Yes. I hope to hear some yips and yaps and barks.
Yes. you probably will.
Okay. So outside of Penny Lane on your lap, so talk a little bit about what's most going on, most exciting thing going on in Amber James land today.
Yeah. So the biggest thing is I'm actually going to be releasing my first memoir next month on July 18th. It's called I Blew Up My Life and I've Never Been Happier.
That's awesome.
It really does chronicle a lot of, I thought I had the perfect on paper life that society told me I needed.
Yeah.
But I quickly realized I checked all the boxes and I was still so unhappy. So it was really about come to Jesus moment of, okay, I got to light this up and find the true happiness. What is going to make me super excited and ready to get up every single day.
Amen. Good for you. Good for you. Thanks. It took me a lot longer. But good for you. So let's go back in time and figure out like what that life looked like and how you got there. Yeah. So where did you grow up? What part of the country did you grow up in?
Yes. So I actually grew up near Cleveland, Ohio, the Midwest. It was awesome. A good place to grow up. But, I always knew from a young age that I was like, I'm meant for something bigger than this. And I want to go out into the world. And I was there has to be more to that than just this, like, I say Cleveland, but really it's like, I grew up in this very small, like farm town surrounded by cornfields and cows.
Same.
Like that's where I grew up.
Same. But
as a kid, it was great. We'd get lost in the cornfields and go run around in the woods. And it was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I was in Michigan. You were in Ohio, right? So, and my mom grew up on a farm in Wisconsin. So I was right on the Wisconsin-Michigan border. So
oh my gosh.
Same childhood, different decade, same childhood.
I was like, wait, did you ever come to like Sandusky and go to Cedar Point ever? Did you visit?
I've heard of Cedar Point.
Oh, okay.
I've been to, I think I went to Cleveland. Yeah, I think wait a minute. I have to figure out. So I've been to Cincinnati. What's the other, where is it? Is Cleveland where Wright Pat is? Is that Cleveland or is that somewhere else in Ohio? Wright-Patterson Air Force Base? Is that somewhere else? I don't know.
Probably somewhere else.
It's probably somewhere else.
Is that terrible? I don't know. I'm like, oh.
No.
I love that I'm like Cleveland. I'm like Rock Hall.
Cleveland, there you go. Cleveland rocks, right? What are the other cities in Ohio?
Well, Columbus is really big.
Columbus,
I mean, that's the capital, and like Ohio State University's down there, so there's a lot to do.
Cincy's way down south.
Cincy's really close to the Kentucky border.
Right. You fly into Kentucky. Right.
Yes, you do. You do.
I actually just, I went to Cincy like last year, November. Cincy was cool. It was really fun.
Yeah, it's actually a really cool part of the state. It's like, what's crazy is I grew up in Ohio, but because I'm in like the Northeast part, near Cleveland, I never got to Cincinnati until like after I graduated college.
That's okay. You live in Ohio. It's like Michigan is so big too. So I get it.
Yeah.
You only go to a place when you have a reason to go. That's my.
That is true. And my friends moved there, and I was like,
now I can go. Right.
I should probably go.
There you go. Okay, so you had a similar childhood, obviously a couple decades removed. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so way different. Really cool clothes and weird music.
We had our bell bottoms in high school. We brought those back.
Wow. Oh, that's awesome. I had no idea bell bottoms came back. So what decade were you in high school? So
high school, it was like early 2000s.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And bell bottoms came back in high school. That's wackadoo. Oh my goodness. Wow.
My mom was always like, I never thought this would come back, and it's so funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
These are so cool.
That was like 70s, right? I think the bell bottoms were 70s.
Yeah, they were. They came back for a brief moment.
Yeah. So did you like wear out the cuffs on the bottom and they get all shredded and shit? Yeah.
Like you wanted to step on the bottom,
right? Because that was part of the thing. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's
so
great.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So those were so out when I was around, right? So because I didn't even I think like I remember they called them flares when I was young, and I wore them once, I think, and I went, these are dumb. Who would? But then I think they called the straight legs like stovepipe. Right.
Oh, yeah.
So that was what was cool in the 80s, which is, it's just fashion is whack. It makes no sense.
It's wild. Yeah. I don't think anybody. Yeah.
No, it's just ways to go. Okay. This is what we are. Right. And we're different than you. Anyway. So what was high school like for you outside of wearing weird pants?
Oh, yeah. I mean, high school it was a lot of fun. I mean, I feel like I wasn't really like a nerdy group or a popular group. I sort of just floated among the different groups.
You were an ambassador like me.
I think so. Yeah. I was on the tennis team, which was a lot of fun. So I played tennis.
So that's like athletic. So you were almost cool, right?
Yeah. Sure.
I didn't say cool. I said almost cool.
Almost cool. Yeah, you're right.
You're on the fringe of cool. Yes. Maybe not. Okay.
But no, it was a good time. But yeah, I think, like I said, I knew that I wanted to get out. And so like, it was like pedal to the metal. I still was like, I wanted to get straight A's. I wanted to have that 4.0 because I wanted to get out. I was like, I want to go.
So you were thinking like the academic is going to be my escape route kind of thing.
Yep.
Okay. Good for you. I didn't have any sort of vision ever. But look, like, so I grew up in northern Michigan, right? So like way too long winters, right? So like winter started in November and went to like May. Just way too much winter. So I was like, I got to get the hell out of here. But I had no plan.
Sometimes no plan is a good plan because then you have no expectations. You're like, however it happens, it's good.
Kinda. I guess. I got sold into the Air Force and it all worked out. That's what I'll say. Yeah. So I went and signed up for community college and I had like this whole like whatever you're supposed to class load. That was done. It was already signed up for. And then the Air Force recruiter called me and, I was being nice and cordial. I was like, yeah, the military's not for me. So I went in and I was going in to tell the recruiter I was going to go to college and I wasn't going to join the Air Force. And he was sick that day. And his supervisor was sitting in his chair instead. And his supervisor was a really, really good salesman. And he was like, you want to get the hell out of Dodge. I can tell. And I'm like, well, yeah. And he's like, the Air Force is really fun. Yeah, basic is kind of a pain in the ass. But after that, it's really fun. And I was like, oh, okay. 20 years later, I retired. And he was right. It was really fun. Basic training was a pain in the ass. And then the other 20 years was really fun. So, okay. So, all right. So you go to high school, you get your 4.0, right? Or whatever, really close. You're really good at tennis or not? I don't know. So what did you do after that? You went to college for or what?
Yeah. So what's crazy? I only had one college in mind that I wanted to go to, and it was Ohio University because they had one of the best journalism programs in the whole country.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, this could not have worked out better that I grew up in Ohio and the best journalism school is right here, 2 hours from my house.
Okay.
So I legit put all my money, which kind of crazy. I put all my money down on applying to just Ohio University and was like,
put all your eggs in one basket.
Yes.
Good
and
for
thankfully, I got in and was accepted to the journalism school.
Okay.
And the rest is history.
Yeah. So is that a party school? Did you party? Was it like an Animal House kind of scenario? Okay.
I wouldn't say Animal House, but it was definitely a party school when I was there. I think it always ranked in the top 5 party schools in the nation.
Sweet.
They had some really cool, the Halloweens in Athens, Ohio, legit.
Yeah.
Well, some of the best parties because they closed out the whole downtown, the whole streets blocked off.
So it's like a big street party and they let everybody drink.
Party, right? And there's 18
food.
Bars.
Yeah.
It's wild.
That's the best. I love it.
Good memories for sure.
Yeah. It sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So how did that all work out? So, I mean, after college, did you go to class enough to graduate with some learnings in your brain?
Yes. Yes.
Good for you.
Yeah. So, actually, between my junior and senior year of college,
right,
I actually had an internship in New York City. So I worked for it's now defunct, but it was CosmoGirl magazine. Okay. So it was the teen version of Cosmo.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. I was going, what? Wait, what?
Yeah. So
it sounded like, okay. So if they were going for
alcoholic.
Well, yeah, no, it just sounded like redundant. CosmoGirl, right?
Yes.
The grown-up version is Cosmo Women, right? Or woman. Okay. All right. I see where they're going. I understand why it didn't work.
But I have to say,
that's a good internship.
I learned more in 3 months with that on the job internship than I think I probably learned in class, which I think is always really accurate. You learn more when you're on the ground, really learning from people who've already done it and have experience. And
did you actually do work or
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
My boss, Rachel, I have to give her a huge shout out. Rachel Chang was one of my favorite bosses that I've ever had. And she and I are still in touch to this day.
That's awesome.
But she trusted me. She let me go interview the Jonas Brothers back in the day. When they were at their height, of pop stardom.
Right.
So I was interviewing them and I got to go to the Dark Knight premiere. And
wow.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
It was awesome. So it's I'm there watching the movie next to Christian Bale and all.
Wow.
This is nuts.
That's kind of crazy for a high school kid. Now I know why you like Almost Famous.
Yes.
You were kind of I don't really want to be one of these people. I want to be one of these people that are taking notes on the plane.
Yeah, I want to tell their stories.
It's almost like you're
such fascinating.
Yeah, you're like an alien anthropologist. Here is the rare breed of human celebrity.
The Joe Bros. But so that was definitely a turning point for me. And then, because I was working within their entertainment division,
right,
I realized when you go to journalism school, everybody's you're going to be a crime reporter or
local investigative
news.
reporter.
Yeah, like we're going, to the front lines of a war.
Right.
But I was like, I knew that was never for me. But then after I did this internship, I was like, oh, you can get paid to write about celebrities and hang out with them?
Yeah.
This is fucking cool.
Best F-bomb ever. Yes.
Sorry, am I allowed to curse on here?
You are totally allowed to say all the words.
Okay, good.
They're all approved. And that was like really, really good use of fucking.
Yeah.
So good job. So, okay. So before we leave this, because this is really fun, are there other highlights you want to bring up? Like, what was Nick Jonas like? Was he like cool or a douche? Or
he was so nice.
Really?
Although I have to say, between all of them, they're all super nice dudes.
Okay.
Kevin, I feel like Kevin is so underrated, but he and his wife are the sweetest. And I've met them, like, even when the Jonas Brothers were broken up, like Kevin Jonas is such a nice dude.
Okay.
He would like literally give you the shirt off his back if you needed it. Like if you were a total stranger. Like but all the guys are super nice and really fun. And like I've met them all individually and as a group up to this point. So I can say there's no drama there. No, they're great.
Okay. Well, they're a bad example because we want some dirt.
Oh, there's plenty of, what's interesting is it's always like the C or D list celebrities who come in hot.
Yeah, come in hot.
They like want to be taken really seriously. So they're the ones that like, if you were to like joke like, oh, they only want, the yellow starburst and like no other starburst or something. Right. It's like those weird things or people that just think they're way bigger than what they actually are. And it's just fascinating where, interview with Brad Pitt, Jennifer Aniston.
Well, yeah.
Nicest celebrities. And they know they're famous. They don't have,
They don't need you and they're just trying to be gracious. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. They've already made it. Right?
Yep.
It's weird because it actually should be the opposite, one would think. I don't know. No, not really. I mean, but if you're like a C or D or Z or, whatever, right? And you're still scrapping that's when you should be sucking up. You should be nice to everybody. Then again, everybody has their own strategies, so.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I won't name any names, but I definitely have had some crazy celebrity stories. I could probably write a whole book on it.
Oh, okay. That's book number 2. Oh, there you go.
We'll see.
So let's talk about, because I saw here that you were like a red carpet reporter. So because I always thought that was like the weirdest thing. And then like, how do you come up with something to say? I mean, what's that process like? I mean, like, is there like rules or are you just winging it? You're just winging it. You're winging it.
Most of the time you're just winging it. Like, especially like if you're not like a big, like E-News or MTV that has the big camera crew.
Okay.
Sometimes you're just scrapping it and it's like, they're only going to talk to maybe 4 or 5 outlets. So if you want to get your shot, you have to just be, I mean, there was one time it was like Justin Timberlake was walking down the red carpet and he wasn't talking to anybody.
Okay.
So I was like, you should be nominated, for an Emmy for The Social Network. I just said it.
Blurted it out. Sure.
Blurted it out. And he literally turned around and was like, can you say that again? He was like, you definitely didn't watch the movie. But he gave me a chance. Then he came up to me and we just started talking and we ended up getting the interview. So that's how it works. You got to just go for it. And
awesome.
You never know what you're going to have to ask. You can have a mental thing of questions, but sometimes you just have to be really scrappy and assertive to just put yourself out there.
Does your brain kind of go wonky when you're trying to come up with a question that sounds good? I mean, I think mine would. I would be like, I really like your shoes. I have no idea what to say. I would be like the worst.
Like Wait, okay, this has only happened once, so I can tell you not everyone was a win, but there was one time it was a total like foot and mouth moment.
Yeah.
Where it was a fashion designer, and I asked her what she was wearing.
Oops.
Because my brain went blank. I didn't know what else to ask, and that was the only thing. And I was like, as it came out of my mouth, I was like, I'm just kidding. I was like, oh, I'm just kidding. And then she was like,
oh, okay. Good save.
Not a good save. But no, I was like, but like I said, I mean, I did that for nearly a decade, so I must have been pretty good.
So, I'm gonna give you a save. So I learned a very good lesson in a bad way. So I guess there's this sort of unwritten rule, like when you're an enlisted person in the military. Say I was in the Air Force and I just became I was a master sergeant. So that's like a senior enlisted person, right?
Yeah.
The first senior enlisted rank. Right. So I'm like right at the edge of going to be somebody in the enlisted rank, but that's as far as I went. So they made me do I was like the MC, like master of ceremonies for this, I can't remember, this monthly promotion ceremony or something like that. Right. Where I have to sit there and I read, the script, and I'm like, MC, you know what an MC is. But before the show starts, the 4-star general walks up to me and he's just, doing his thing of BSing with everybody. And he comes up and he's just like, and he said something to me and I don't remember what, right? But in my mind, it was like, oh, this is going to change what I say. Right? Yes.
Oh no.
And exactly. And suddenly I blurted out a question. I don't remember what the question was, but the answer was this look. This look of, I can't believe you just asked me a question.
Oh no.
And there was thankfully a higher ranking dude right next to me and said everything will, he made it all go away. He just,
oh man, he saved the day.
He saved the day. But oh my God, that sinking feeling that you had when you said, who are you wearing? I went, oh, I guess it's wrong to ask generals questions.
Yep.
Can I still feel my face? Yeah. And so then anyway, then it all went away. So lesson learned, don't ask generals questions. Yes.
Lesson learned, do not ask a fashion designer what they're wearing, even though everybody on E-News, that's all they ever ask. I never asked that question to anyone ever again.
Good call. Yes. Because you never know. They might be the person that's making the dress. Good to know.
Good to know.
Good to know.
Pro tip.
Exactly. Keep that in my pocket. Yeah. Okay. So that sounds awesome. Good for you. So did you actually get a job doing that after your internship? Okay. Let's talk a little bit about what that job was.
Yeah. So this is kind of the crazy part of my story is graduating college. I thought I was probably going to go back to CosmoGirl, but they were sort of in the beginning stages of turning it just digital, and the magazine wasn't going to be there anymore. So getting a job suddenly wasn't even an option anymore. So I was starting from oh crap, I'm about to graduate and I don't have a job lined up, and everybody else did.
Wow.
There was a part of me that was like, oh no, what am I supposed to do? But my parents were like, how about you just try for a month, see what happens.
Okay.
Take your graduation money, go for a month, and see what happens.
Okay.
And I said, yes, I want to do that. Because I was kind of I sort of wanted to do it. And then I felt like maybe I needed their approval. But then it was sort of oh no, I'm just doing this. I know this is where I'm supposed to be.
Okay.
So yeah, I moved into this cute little guest townhouse on the Upper East Side that was a month-to-month lease, which is unheard of, right? That's unheard of.
But, and it's crazy expensive. It's through the roof. Yeah. I can't even imagine, but yes, it's all your money. Yes, for a month.
Oh yeah, it's the cheapest apartment is still going to be $1,500-$1,600.
Crazy. I know.
It's crazy.
And it's a shithole. And it's tiny. Yes.
Yeah, it's tiny. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. So how long did that last? Okay.
So yeah, I started applying rapidly to all of these jobs. And the one that stuck out though, which you'll laugh because it was, so AOL Entertainment was like, oh, we're hiring like an entertainment journalist and to work for the website. Okay. And I'm like, that sounds kind of cool. Okay. I applied and legit within a week, I had a job offer, like an interview and a job offer.
Wow.
And then they're like, how soon can you start? And I was like, Monday.
This is awesome because the way you said it is sort of like, I noticed on your stuff that you mentioned AOL and I went, wait a minute, AOL? And I went and went AOL.com and it's still there. I was like, what the hell?
It is a massive. There are so many people who work there. But yeah, it was like definitely.
And when was this again? So give us a time hack on that.
So, okay, I graduated, in March of 2008. Okay. And then, I stayed home for a couple months there and then moved to New York in, I believe it was June of 2008. And then 2 weeks later, I had my job.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about how cool that job was. Was that a cool job?
Oh, it was awesome.
Okay.
I feel like we were given a lot of free reign too. And I also, because of my experience, they were just kind of like, write some entertainment news, if somebody breaks up, write a story, do that. And I was like, I want to be out interviewing people. And they're like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I want to do it. And they're like, well, go see what you can do. Go get some stuff.
Wow. And that was it? Wow.
Before they were like, if you want to go do this, and this is like lighting you up. And I love the fact that my bosses there at the time were so excited to not be like, oh, this is how it's always been done. And they were letting me kind of do my thing.
Just go,
and
right?
Just go. And I'm like, that freedom was what, then I was able to help launch and make their entertainment website huge. Back before podcasts were a thing, I was doing like a video podcast, like an entertainment celebrity podcast.
Wow.
So it was me and 3 other women. Okay. And we had this little podcast show that we would host every week. Okay. And it's so funny because I was like, that was way before its time. Right? Yeah. Like 2008, nobody was doing that stuff.
Nobody.
But it was a lot of fun.
So you were just like, so wait a minute. Now that was before there was, so were you doing these interviews in person or on an internet thing? Yeah, in person, right?
Yeah, we were doing
bandwidth wasn't really there yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then, AOL, what many people may not even know, like they had a whole music studio, a whole like TV studio that we could go and like invite people to AOL and then they could come and we would film on these big sets.
Wow.
And it was so much fun.
How fun is that?
As the first job.
Yeah.
I'm like, how did I get so lucky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had an incredible team around me too, which I'm like, man, I could not have asked for a better
like
first job.
What is your role? Like, what's the whole role? Is it like producer, interviewer? Like, are you doing everything, writing, all this stuff?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of it. Yeah, I was doing the interviewing. I was writing the stories for the web. Wow. And, awesome. We had like video producers who were doing that. Thank goodness. Because I wouldn't have been able.
God, yes.
That's a whole skill set where I'm like, even to this day, I'm like, I'm going to pay somebody to do anything with that because it does not light me up and does not make me excited.
No. I used to think I actually went through this whole phase of I wanted a video toaster. So when you were like not born, there was this thing on an Amiga computer called an Amiga video toaster. And it was sort of like Amiga was this before there was PCs and Macs. There was lots of different computers. And there's this whole show that was made on a video toaster. It's called Babylon 5. They used like 3D graphics anyway. So that was like, wow, I want to play with that toy, right? I actually did like this whole thing in the Air Force where we had this trainer come out and do this training. And they recorded all of the whole thing, like a week-long training course on VHS, right? So, and then they had this VHS like video editing studio. I spent a whole week editing this dumbass video with a video toaster. Oh my God, it was the worst week ever. I was literally alone in a room for a week. I had to like walk out and just go, look, the sun's still there. Okay, back to editing. It was like the worst. So bless all those video editors out there.
I was going to say,
like 1 hour, one hour was enough to know that I didn't want to do the rest, and I was in for a week. Oh, yeah. Anyway.
I don't even think it took me that long. I was like, I took like 2 seconds. I was like, it takes how long to like export this? Like-
I know. I know. I wonder, that was one of the things that came up for me. It was like, there's so much downtime. It's like you do like plink, plink, plank, and then wait.
Yes.
It's like, ugh, so I was like, yeah, I don't need that. Okay. So anyway, that sounds like you were having a blast.
Yeah. It was a great first job for sure.
Right. So what happened next? Let's get into what happened next.
So, yeah, I mean, well, I probably would have never left, but, obviously AOL merges with other companies and they had massive layoffs. So I got laid off. But I mean, like I said, I feel like at that point I had made such a name for myself and so many celebrity publicists already knew me and other people in the industry. So
you had a network by that point.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, this was another, I cannot believe how lucky I am, but it was like within 48 hours of me losing my job, I had another one lined up.
Wow. Holy cow. That's crazy.
Which is nuts.
That is nuts.
I'm like, yeah, it's nuts because then later down in my career, I was like, oh no. When you actually have to file for unemployment and you're like, oh, this is what should have happened in my early 20s and didn't. I was too lucky.
Man, that line is the worst line. You never want to be in that line.
Oh yeah.
It's like built,
especially in New York City.
It's built. It's like the walk of shame. It's yep, here I am. And it's bad. I mean, why did they do that to us? I don't know. I would say Nevada was better. Nevada didn't make me go stand in line. Like like I was briefly unemployed. Whenever I signed up for unemployment, I immediately, as soon as I hit submit, I immediately regret it, because I was like, I get it if you need that money to eat or pay rent. But like literally I was getting like $100 or something that I didn't need. Right. So I went through all of that shame for $100, for like 3 months. I was like, why did I do that? Why is I was sucking up to my wife, but it wasn't worth it. If I could go back and unsubmit, I would. But anyway, I digress. So what was the second job? Because it seems like the second job was okay, at least. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it was good. It was, so I worked, it was a company called Celeb Buzz. So it still exists. But yeah, that was also, it was a brand new startup company. So it was like very bare bones. It was like me and maybe 2 other people. So it was very much like.
No big giant studio anymore.
So it's like filming stuff on my phone, my like iPhone 4 or 5 that's like blurry. I'm like, what am I doing?
Okay. So that's completely different. That's night and day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I think it taught me how to be super scrappy. And also I realized I really liked the startup life, which is then how I sort of, like I said, I spent a decade kind of then afterwards just freelancing and doing red carpet reporting.
Oh, wow.
But after all of that, I actually moved to like the startup life because I was like, oh, I sort of want to work for a startup company doing something a little bit different. Right. I had written so many stories about Kim Kardashian, and it was to the point where I'm like, I know all the kids' names, how to spell them and their ages. And I'm like, it's time to get out.
I need something more meaningful, maybe.
Yes. No offense to the Kardashians. They're super sweet. But I'm like, my mental space at that point, I was like, okay, time for something new.
I'm way too full of useless crap in this brain space. Yes. Okay. Yes. I get that. I totally get that. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. So let's fast forward a little bit. and get like a little, because we're spending a lot of time.
Flies.
I know. Time flies when you're having fun, as they say.
Yes.
Okay. So you're at some point, let's get to the point where everything goes to shit and you blow up your life. So what were you doing before that?
So I actually started working for like a real estate management company in Manhattan.
Wow.
It's one of the largest in the United States, like multifamily places in the United States. And I was working on the marketing team for them.
Okay.
And it was good. I loved my team, but at the end of the day, I knew at that point it was time to start bringing myself back to a position that was giving back to people. Okay. And that's what I felt in my heart, that I'm like, something needs to give here. So
right.
I think I was starting to go through that a little bit.
Right.
But then as COVID hit, then I'm suddenly like, oh, now I have all this time to think about what I actually want, what's going on. It's like I was living with my fiance at the time.
Right.
And, like many people, when you suddenly are under one roof after only spending like 3 hours a day together,
it gets weird. Things get weird.
Really weird.
Yeah.
It gets really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty much, I had that. Then I ended up, there were so many things that happened. Sometimes I'm like, how is this a real story? But I ended up in the hospital twice, which I think sometimes the body tells or keeps the score, So I think I was under a lot of stress where I suddenly ended up in the hospital amid COVID and all this other stuff with like appendicitis.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. So I got that. And then after, I have that surgery, a month and a half later, I end up back in the hospital.
Okay.
Having my gallbladder removed. So.
Wow. You don't have many things left. Do you still have your tonsils?
Right? I know. I started my friends and I were taking bets. We're like, which organ is she going to lose next? And I was like, hopefully no others.
Let's stop. Let's stop. Yeah. How many do I need to lose? Yes. Okay.
But all of those things culminating together were making me realize life is so short.
It is.
And why are we... Why am I sitting here screwing around doing something where I can't wake up and be happy every day? Right. Even my love for New York City had started to fade. I was just like, I'm over this. I've been here for almost 15 years. Like,
wow,
I've done my time.
15 years in New York. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I think at the time, then that's when I really had to just, look at myself and say, what's going to make me happy?
Okay.
And none of those, the relationship, the job, the city, none of that made the list.
Wow. So. Okay. All right. So getting out of the hospital, basically, you're like, blah. So did you move immediately, like in lockdown, or did you wait a while?
I waited a little while. I mean, I think part of it was I didn't leave right away because I was still recovering and wanted to make sure, hey, if something happens, I want the same surgeon who's already done the last 2 surgeries on me. So
yeah, right.
I know he's a good one.
Yeah, yes.
But
I survived. I came out of the anesthesia. Everything worked out. Yes.
Everything was good.
Right.
But yeah, so I would say January of 2022 was when I decided I am literally walking away from everything. I quit my job without anything else lined up. I called off my engagement, broke up with my fiance, moved out of our apartment, and I left New York City. And then I went to go live with my parents for a month. Just
nice. So that's a thing now that you do. I think it doesn't matter how old you are. You have to go do that.
What's funny is I feel like I always tried to pride myself in being like, oh, I graduated college. I, moved to the New York City. I'm never moving back in with my parents. But let me tell you, at 36, to have your meals cooked for you and your laundry folded every day.
Yeah.
Freaking amazing.
Pretty cool, right?
It's really awesome.
Well, I think your parents are probably thinking well, she's grown up. She'll probably go get another job.
Yeah.
It would be different if you graduated college and then immediately moved back into home, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that they don't like, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's oh, we're bad people. That's what they're thinking to themselves, right? We didn't make her right. It's all our fault, right? That's Okay. So, all right. So you go and you get like red carpet treatment from mom and dad.
Yes, it was amazing.
Good for you. Okay. So then you start writing these notes. So let's talk about the notes. Is this when you start writing the notes?
So I started writing the notes when I was still living in New York.
Okay.
I would say following that first surgery.
Okay.
I started to pull out, like, I can show them. It's so funny. I have all of these like colorful Post-it notes, like every color
awesome.
you could every color you could possibly imagine.
I love it.
And I started writing myself
all really close
notes
to pink
every
and
day.
purple, but yes, okay.
Yes.
It's all good.
Those are the ones I have other colors.
I'm just teasing. Oh, there's yellow, green. There. Okay, good.
But yeah, like after my surgery, I really felt like being isolated and trying to heal and recover.
Right.
When you're in COVID, it's not like I was going back to work and socializing with people.
You got a lot of me time. You got a lot of me time.
Too much me time, probably, but
it's that scary. Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna go ahead and admit to everybody in the world, like, isolation is no joke. Mm-hmm. So isolation is what leads to depression, and depression can kill you. So that's a real disease, and don't mess around with isolation. You need to be around people, even if they're sleeping.
Yes.
I was listening to Tim Ferriss's podcast the other day. There was this retired CEO who coaches now. And he says that he hires an assistant to sit and read on a couch in his office while he does work. So he's not alone.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah. It makes sense, though, when you understand the psychology of isolation, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could get a dog. Dog works.
Which I did.
That works too.
She's the best little assistant ever.
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't ask for a better one.
But, you look into those eyes and all you see is unconditional love, right? And
I know.
There you go. It totally works. It totally works. You don't feel isolated. So when I'm feeling isolated now, so what I do is I listen to podcasts. And, Tom Petty's my best friend that I've never met, and he died.
I love Tom Petty. Oh,
I could listen.
Can I tell you?
I listen to. No, go ahead. Please tell me your Tom Petty story. Yes, he's the best.
My parents used to listen to Tom Petty all the time as a kid. I would literally just be like, "Play Free Fallin' again."
Free Fallin's a great song. Yeah.
That was like, I'm just a little kid, and that I just could not get enough of his music, and I loved it.
So Tom Petty's music is great, but he also has a show. Now he died. Okay, so but my relationship with Tom Petty after he died changed zero, right? Because I never met him. Mm-hmm. So I listened to his show. It's called Buried Treasure on the Deep Tracks channel on Sirius XM. You can listen to that on repeat forever. There's like 9+ seasons. And he's just like, he's not funny at all, but him attempting humor is hilarious.
I'm adding that to my playlist now. I have to listen to this.
And I listen to like Tim Ferriss podcast, Joe Rogan podcast, all the good podcasts, it's like you're sitting there, like especially Tim Ferriss. He'll make you feel, in one sentence, he'll make you go, yeah, I need to try harder. And then in the next sentence, it'll be, but it's okay. Right? It's like,
yes,
you need to grow, but it's okay. You need to grow, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about some of these affirmations that you wrote.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of fun. It's huge psychology, right? Like the whole positive affirmation thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would write everything from "you got this" to, healing takes time.
Totally.
You're stronger than you think.
I like it. Yeah.
Embrace your scars. Because, after my surgeries, I had a lot of scars.
Right.
But then it was also just like, your voice is your superpower.
Wow.
And
nice.
really, I would literally just post them all over my apartment, like from my computer to my refrigerator to my bathroom mirror. They were everywhere. It was kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah.
But I loved it. And still to this day, I have Post-it notes all over the place.
That's great.
Just because I want to be able to see certain things. And every once in a while, there's just ones that will speak to you that maybe the last week didn't mean anything, but now this week it actually is like, oh, that.
You never know. Right. When those things are going to come back. It's like talking, it's your past self talking to your future self.
Yes. So true.
Yeah. Just make sure you don't write anything like, you really suck. Don't do that. Never. No. The world is already doing that for you.
Seriously. You don't even have to walk outside. Right. What's happening.
Just smell Twitter. Oh, yes, I know I suck. Okay. Thanks for the reminder.
Yes. Thanks.
Okay. So how did this note thing become a thing? So, because it's a weird thing to become a thing, I think.
It's a weird thing to become a thing. You're right.
Yeah.
So, I had all these notes posted around, and I was thinking to myself, I know how much they mean to me every day, seeing them and what an impact they have. So I was like, why don't I just start an Instagram page called Notes to Self, Notes to Self Shop.
Right.
And this is sort of, I just started using Canva, putting these notes in really colorful, pretty, mantras.
Canva's
all
great.
Over.
Shout out Canva. Canva. Yes.
Yes. Sponsor this podcast. No, just
kidding. They want me to pay. I don't. I just use the free account.
Yeah.
But love Canva.
So, but it seemed like almost overnight, like the account grew to over like 20,000 followers.
Wow.
It was wild. First I was like, are these a bunch of like robots? You know what I mean? I'm like, this can't be real. It's
right.
I started
These are all just like farm people in India, right? They're not real. Right.
Yeah. I was like, oh, this Instagram was really only meant for like 7 people and like my grandma.
Right. Your grandma's on Insta. Wow. Okay. Cool grandma.
Crazy, right? Yeah, she's very cool.
Very hip.
She's hip. Yeah, she's with it.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, but I thought what was so interesting about it was being able to see the real-time feedback from people from all over the world that were landing on my account saying, this affirmation changed my day, or I really needed to see this today. Like, thank you.
Wow.
And you start to realize like, oh, it doesn't even matter if there's one bad, never focus on the one bad Yelp review. That's my mantra.
Sure. Yeah.
Because there's so many other people that I'm helping through this account.
Right.
And it has just been, like I said, I'm doing this for free just because I love to do it.
Right.
And it's something that I just feel like
you're already doing it. Back. Right. You're already doing it. I mean, you just pick up 6 from the house, right? And you go, okay, these will be on Insta today.
Yes, exactly.
I love it.
But I mean, then what's crazy is then my Instagram, because so many people were seeing like loving it. Another part of my healing process was journaling. Okay. But I feel like I kept looking for a journal that I was like, there's a journal that I want to see, but I can't find it.
Okay.
And I'm thinking to myself, why don't I just create my own?
Okay. Oh, nice.
So I decided to create then as like an offshoot of the Instagram, the Notes to Self 30-day guided journal.
Okay.
And it exploded. I did not think I would have the same thing. I was like, I'm just going to see what happens. And I'm like, wow, I can actually. Well,
you kind of already kind of like a writer, right? That was your job for a long time.
Yes. Yeah. This goes back to that thing
you had to go remember that. You're like, oh shit, I know how to do that. What would happen if I tried?
Once again, oh crap, you can make money doing things that you love.
Oh crap. Isn't that neat?
Isn't it neat?
Right. Wow.
When you're super passionate about something and people can feel that vibe from you.
Right.
But like I said, I wanted to make mine super unique. So it's a 30-day guided journal. Because I think a lot of people get intimidated when it's just a blank page. Like, oh my gosh, what do I do?
Right. Totally.
So
it's more like a little bit like a fill in the blanker kind of thing, prompts. Oh, nice.
There's prompts. And then I have like 30 different affirmations that some are on the Instagram, some are brand new just for the journal.
Right.
So every day you see a note to self in there, then there's also, this is something that I love about Instagram, or like those word search where it's like the first 3 words you see are like your affirmations for May or June, whatever.
Right.
So I kind of started to make a few of those in here too. So there's like word searches about like self-care and, manifesting the first word you see. And so it's really a fun way where it's
a little gamey.
Yeah. It keeps it fun. Instead of just being like, oh, I'm writing. I'm like, oh, change it up a little bit, have some fun.
Well, nobody wants to do the Stuart Smalley thing,
Yeah.
But affirmations are good anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You might be too young to know who Stuart Smalley is. Everybody needs to get on YouTube and look up Stuart Smalley.
Including myself.
There you go. So it was a thing back in the day of it's a guy on Saturday Night Live, Al Franken. He was doing affirmations in the mirror. It was a skit. So it was making fun of affirmations, but that doesn't mean they don't work.
That is true. I love it.
But everybody of my generation, when they start doing affirmations, that's what they see in their head. They see, I'm strong enough. I'm good enough. And gosh darn it, people like me.
Yes.
So everybody, I'll put some Stuart Smalley links in the show notes just so you can have a laugh. Okay, so then we're getting close to wrapping up, so we can't screw around too much. But so when did you decide to write a book? And my goodness, that's got to be a lot of work.
Yeah. So like I said, my story was so crazy just between, the COVID lockdown, being in this toxic relationship and kind of having, that I've got to find what makes me happy and life is too short.
Right.
I realized, like, as I was telling other people just what was happening in my life, everyone's like, that's a book. That is a whole book. And I was like,
It's way more than one podcast. That's for sure.
Yes, for sure. But I just started writing and it was like the words just started going and flowing. And I was like, oh, this is actually going to be a real thing. Like at first I was like, let me see.
Right.
Writing a book is a labor of love and something that you have to be super excited to do. It's a
lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Right.
But let me tell you, seeing the final copy and knowing that I know it's going to help a lot of women or a lot of people out there who might be going through something else, whether they're like at a crossroads or just feeling completely stuck.
Right.
I'm just hoping that my story can help inspire them to kind of take that leap.
Right.
Go after what's going to make them happy and to quiet the noise of what society tells you you're supposed to do.
Right.
And go after what's going to make you happy.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. We call that a Veer on this show. You wake up and you go, oh, yeah, this all looks cool, but let's not do this anymore.
Yes, exactly.
I kept doing that in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So congratulations on all of that.
Oh, thank you.
It's almost like you're Clouseauing your way to happiness, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know who Clouseau is either. Sorry. So Inspector Clouseau and Mr. Magoo. It's sort of like Mr. Magoo would maybe be a better example. You can go YouTube Mr. Magoo. He was literally blind and he would walk around and everything in the world would just cater to him. Right? And he would just stumble his way and be the hero of the cartoon.
That's so funny.
So his superpower was he couldn't see very well, but he was really nice. Anyway, so you are at, let's see, which one should we use? You're on Instagram, Notes to Self Shop.
Yes.
And then you've got a website for the book, I guess, mostly, right? And that's
Notes to Self.
Right. Excellent.
Notes to Selfshop.com.
Right.
You can learn all about pre-order the book. It'll be out July 18th. And then you can also see a lot of my other Notes to Self. I sell everything from, I actually have like wall art that
wow.
I sell with the different affirmations from the Instagram.
Great. Yeah.
I sell blank journals that have the affirmations on them.
Right.
And now this book. So
and you've got that free journal, right?
Yes. Yeah. The 7 days to get out of your own way.
See? I like it.
Yeah, because I feel like I wanted to offer people something where if they weren't sure they wanted to buy the Notes to Self journal, they could take a look at this.
You need to have the demo now, right? It's like the demo of the game. It's the free thing that teases you into going, yeah, Amber James, she does really rock. Yes.
Oh. You're giving me you're making me feel so good. You're like my note to self today. I'm just gonna write all the nice things you said about me.
Well, thanks for being on my show. This has been a blast.
This has been so much fun. Thank you again for having me.
It went really quick.
Way too fast.
Way too fast. So come back and let's talk about like maybe 6 months in a year or whatever. Let's get more stories from the red carpet. You can tell me how the book launch went, all those good things. Yes. Come back.
Awesome. I would love to.
I want to see Penny Lane again. She was really quiet. Oh, she went to sleep. Hey, Penny.
She slept. Oh, look at her.
She's like, she's so shy and tired and sweeper. Just say walkies.
Peanut butter?
Oh,
peanut butter is her word.
Peanut butter to perk up. All right, Amber, this has been a blast.
Yeah, thank you.
You have a good one. Talk to you later.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for taking the time to ride along with us on another episode of Vroom Vroom Veer. For podcast info and show notes, be sure to head over to vvveer.com. That's VVER.com. Man, that's fun to say. And we'll catch up with you next time here on Vroom Vroom Veer.